I had my husband slept with my brother's wife, and I killed my brother because of it, then I ran away. Background. I, 34mm, met my now husband, 33M, in college when we were 18, 19. My husband, who I will call J, and my brother Z, 41M, and his wife, who I will call M, 38F, have been friends before I even met them. All three have shared a maths AP class, and me and Jay hit it off as soon as we met and became close friends. I'm openly gay, but Jay was mostly in the closet except for friends and family. M knew Jay was gay long before I did, so I never thought anything of them hanging out all the time. Even before I knew Jay was gay, I asked him if him and M were together, and he said they'd experimented before, but he was definitely gay, so I simply brushed it off. Then once M finished college and went into her job and met my brother, who I'll call Z, 39M. Soon both me and Jay and M and Z got together and both got married later respectively. The real problem started recently. A while after we all graduated, we stopped talking as much. I still talk to Z, of course, but recently M invited us to go out for lunch and catch up, and we did. When we first talked together, everyone seemed chill and normal, like it was in college. But then M and Jay talked a lot more, and M made like no effort to reach out to me after the first lunch meeting, even though I thought we still had something and were good friends. I fully trusted Jay, so I again didn't think too much of it, but I kept my eye on it. I was hanging out with Z, and he was acting kind of weird, and when I said I felt tired and tried to leave early, he was very adamant that I stay, and that just made me even more suspicious. He even went as far to say some dumb crap about, "Oh, come on, I actually needed your help with something really quickly. You can go." And I absolutely couldn't believe him and just immediately left to go home, and he was begging me to stay, but I went straight home. I knew something was off, and the fact he was trying to stop me from going back to my own home made me sure it was something happening, and he knows it. Soon I got home and the home was seemingly empty, but I heard some noise from upstairs. As I followed the noise, I knew it's coming from our bedroom. As soon as I realized it, I bursted into the bedroom to see them naked in bed together. And as soon as they realized it, Jay sprang up and started to try to explain himself. But I stopped him and just told him to get his clothes on and leave my house, and that I'm going to divorce him, and left to confront my brother. I got to his house and bursted in, and he was in the kitchen, and I immediately questioned him, and he admitted that he knew and was okay with his wife sleeping with my husband. I was so enraged, and I looked around and saw the knife rack. Before I did anything, I needed to know, why on earth would he be okay with this? Not only was his wife sleeping with someone else, that someone else is his brother's gay, or not, I guess, husband. He responded verbatim, "Well, she came to me and told me she wanted to experiment again like in college. She was reminded how good it was when they did back then, and I thought this might help our relationship and told her to go for it, and I can stall you. She promised that she would record it too for me, because maybe we could bond or something over it. I'm so sorry. I don't know what I was thinking. Please forgive me. I absolutely could not stand this absolute bullshit, and I just picked up the biggest knife there was and just threw it at him. I didn't think that it would really get him. I guess I just wanted to scare him, or as payback. But I have better aim than I thought, I guess. And it hit him in the stomach, and I was mortified and called 911 and then ran away. I didn't know what to do, and I couldn't stay. They would definitely know I did it. I think they assumed it was a suicide. I don't actually know if he is dead, but I can only assume he bled out or what. I'm too scared to ask M or J, so I guess I'll find out. The only thing I think I can do now is run away from it all. I've already divorced Jay, so I guess I need to move away and start a new life. I honestly kind of know I'm the asshole, but if anyone knows what I can do, please tell me. I really didn't mean to kill him. I was just so angry I didn't know what else to do. It was an intrusive thought I acted on. I know I need therapy, but I don't think I can, or they will just send me to prison or something. Should I turn myself into a mental hospital or to the police? I want to know if Z is all right, but I'm sure that they'll send me in prison for life. Should I try to plead guilty and like for mentally ill? I'm just so lost. Now, time for second story. My mother is ghosting me after my dad died. My mother, 48F, is ghosting me after I, 29F, lost my father, 49mm. Background, My dad and my mom in 2010 during my first year in high school. My brother, who was 17 at the time, found out that my mother was cheating on my father that year and left my dad for another man. For the rest of high school and college, my mother was in and out of my life and often ghosted me when she couldn't afford the things I needed or didn't want me to be mad at her. Between then and now, I have had an on, again, off again relationship with my mother. During this time apart, my mom has refused to sign divorce papers twice, despite my dad being with my stepmother, a 39F, and having 3 additional children. I stopped speaking with my mother in March 2023 because of her lies and BS. A few months later, my father was diagnosed with stage 4 colorectal cancer. He eventually died in May 2024. Current issue on the actual issue. My mother is technically considered next of kin because my dad died without a will, and they were still together. We were fortunate enough that he at least had life insurance through his job so we could bury him and honor his wishes. Until my dad was placed on hospice, I did not speak to my mother, but knowing that I needed her help to bury him, I made an effort. My mom played a good game and told everybody she was so distraught and that my dad was the love of her life, and she was doing everything she could to make sure he was delayed to rest. In all actuality, it took us a month to bury my dad. The funeral home and the cemetery were hunting me down so I could hunt her down, to the point that I had to go and find my mother because the hospital was still holding my dad 3 weeks after his death. And of course, she was the only one who could sign off on everything. The day of the funeral, she made us wait and never came. And a week after I told her we needed to talk because we now have to handle his estate and pay off debts and settle all of his accounts and notify all of his creditors, he is no longer here. She left me on red, and I tried to call, text, and even show up to her house for about a month. During that time, I got one response, letting me know that she wasn't ignoring me, but she was having health issues of her own, and my response to her was, "I'm sorry that you were having health issues. I just need you to communicate with me so I know what is going on, that I'm not trying to make this more difficult." She still has not responded to me, but has spoken to her mother and brother. I stopped expecting my mom to do the right thing for a very long time, but my sisters who were younger than me and under the age of 18, the life insurance, which doesn't have a beneficiary, and because of that will go to his estate, is enough to help them with necessities like school supplies, clothes, shoes, etc. So when I last effort for them, I wrote a letter explaining that I was disappointed and that I was not worried about the money or the process for myself, but only for my sisters, who also lost their father and are still very young. I also explained that I cannot continue to do this anymore. This back and forth and waiting for her to call me, like I did when I was 18 and she missed my high school graduation and never even called to say congratulations. As of today, she left me on red still, is avoiding me altogether, and has not picked up my dad's death certificates from the funeral home, who keep calling me because she won't answer. So my question is, AITA, for writing that letter. Also, any advice, or in general, on what I can do about the insurance? It's only about 30K, and my brother and I elected that we would give our share to the girls since they are young. The money goes to the estate, and she is the legal estate administrator as next of kin.